I've been hanging out with these guys for a while now. I'm 24, and the one I'm talking about is 23. I've noticed that they tend to make jokes and jabs and assert themselves as above others. Yesterday, we were at the beach, and I kept pestering one of them for fun by throwing tiny shells at him. I do this kind of thing often but don't think much of it. I just enjoy being funny and trying to make others laugh. He told me to stop acting like the little brother. It bothered me, and after that, I didn't know how to interact with the group. I don't want to be a boring guy, but I also don't want to be labeled as the little brother type and be the target of every joke. Does anyone have advice? Story 1. I was throwing small shells at him. I find that I do this kind of thing often but do not think much of it. He was telling me to stop acting like the little brother. He was right. Story 2. Yesterday we were at the beach and I kept pestering one of them for fun. I was throwing tiny shells at him. I find that I do this sort of thing often but don't think much of it. Do not act like a child. If you are bothered about being seen as the little brother, do not do the sort of things children do to get attention. Story 3. You could start by not throwing shells at your friends. I could not think of anything more annoying when trying to relax at a beach. Story 4. There is a difference between joking to make others laugh and being immature. Throwing things at someone is not a joke, and you admit it is pestering. Story 5. Is it bothering you that what he said is actually correct? That is typical behavior of a younger brother. Do not do it. Story 6. We did this to one of our friends, my roommate now. He told me straight to my face one day that I was being unpleasant and that it felt like constant badgering. I didn't realize it, and I backed off quite a bit on the snarky comments and similar behavior. We're closer than ever now, and we both tease each other here and there. So maybe try that. Story 7. Where did they call you weak in this story? He only got annoyed because you continuously threw shells at him, which is immature. Couple of times is kind of funny. Doing it the whole time or constantly is annoying and the type of behavior a little brother does to annoy you. Be your authentic self, but if it is continuously pestering someone more than a reasonable number of times, then that is too far. Story 8. You are trying way too hard. It is incredibly irritating when someone tries too hard to be the clown. Seriously, if you do not stop, they will stop inviting you. Just chill out and be yourself. Story 9. You might be labeled as a little brother because you are annoying or because you lack self-esteem. I have an older friend who, due to low self-esteem and not facing his own challenges effectively, is treated like a little brother. He cares too much about what others think, lies to avoid inconvenient truths, and avoids confrontation by pretending not to care instead of risking looking bad. But because he is so afraid to look bad, he appears weak. Because he fears looking weak, he indeed looks weak. His concern about others' opinions makes him appear weak. I do love him. While I list his negative qualities, he has many virtues. Steadfastness, loyalty, and he is incredible under pressure or life-threatening situations. He is braver than most I have met and has an incredibly compassionate heart. He does not need to care about what others think. He does not need to lie or pretend to be something he is not. Yet he does anyway. This causes him to lose respect and be treated as a little brother from time to time. The humiliation perpetuates the cycle, as he chooses not to face the reasons behind it. So, my answer to how to avoid being weak is to be confident in who you are and in your virtues. If you are caring and show love by being a brat, do not be afraid of this. If you have the urge to lie to defend yourself, do not. Just say it like it is. Do not people please. Be the good that is within you and align yourself with your ideals. Do not sway from them, and you will not be treated like a little brother. Story 10. You were pestering him and he put you in place without being aggressive. You were bothered by it, but did you think he might have been bothered by you annoying him? You say you like to do things that make people laugh. Was he laughing when you were annoying him? I think he was very accurate in calling you little brother because you acted like one. Story 11. Do not be an annoying child if you do not want to be treated like one. No one wants shells or sand thrown at them repeatedly. Story 12. Well, as the other said, don't do annoying shell throwing stuff. But if you really want to feel like one of them, you have to learn their little idiosyncrasies and methods of joking and making fun of each other. Then slowly attempt to make similar jabs and so on, but still be respectful. It is a fine line to tread, and you will find out pretty quickly if they truly like you or not. If they do not, it is time to move on. Story 13. You are going about it all wrong. Think about it. Trying to be funny by throwing things is definitely a little brother move. Act like an adult and be funny with your words, not your actions. Story 14. I was throwing tiny shells at him. Are you absolutely sure that you are not 12 years old? Because you sure act like it. Story 15. Being upset with the person who said that or even the group will do nothing for you. The voice in your head that keeps echoing little brother is your own. It will follow you to the next group. Focus all your productive anger toward yourself. This pattern of behavior will repeat until you conquer that inner voice. You have to figure out how to respond to pecking order type banter and insults. I have a friend I can never get along with because he always says, "Forget you, you're whatever I just said." He just says "forget you" and reverses it. So stupid, but it's instant and thoughtless. It affects me every time. I don't even try him anymore. Give that a shot next time someone calls you little brother. And also, thank that person for calling you out. That was a gift. Story 16. You literally answered your own question. You have given yourself the role of the clown, and they are treating you accordingly. Why would they take you seriously if you are not a serious person? Story 17. I don't know what this scenario has to do with being weak or asserting oneself. You were antagonizing your friend by repeatedly throwing little seashells at him, right? Of all the things you could playfully throw at someone, that has to be a bit annoying and could potentially hurt a bit. He said you were acting childish, and that was it. None of that was a jab or a joke at you, based on what you have explained. It sounds like you were being a bit much, and he said something. Story 18. I don't want to be a boring person, but you became annoying. It is not boring to sit down, unwind, and relax with friends. If I am trying to relax and someone is throwing shells at me, I would probably never invite them again. Story 19. Look at the people who are well-liked. Do they do things like this? No. Then do not do it if you want to be well-liked. Story 20. What is funny about annoying a friend? You literally used the word annoying and said it was for fun. For whom? It sounds like you are just immature and should grow up. Story 21. Making jokes and jabs to assert themselves while you throw shells, thinking it is just you joking and being funny, sounds like the same thing, to be honest. You thought you were being funny while throwing shells, but they found it annoying, and it seems you find their jokes and jabs annoying as well. Start by not assuming that thinking something is a joke or funny means the same for others. Put yourself in other people's shoes. Who would want shells thrown at them? You have to control those impulses. That is part of being an adult. When you have the urge to do something you think is funny, ask yourself if it is a childish thing to do, and consider if you would be annoyed if the roles were reversed. Controlling those impulses is a solid start to not being called the little brother. Story 22. Have you tried being humorous by telling amusing stories or something? I don't think anyone considers it funny when stuff is thrown at you. Story 23. Why would you throw shells at someone at the beach? Adults do not do that. Children do things like this. What type of beach allows you to openly drink while you are on the beach? I have not seen one of those types in the United States. Glass bottles are strictly prohibited everywhere I have gone. If you had been at the beach throwing shells at me, I would have said the same thing. Story 24. A lot of adults in this thread are going out of their way to kill their inner child. You all sound like you will live a boring 80 years. Spending every day trying to make yourself believe it is the only way to live and die of a stress-induced massive coronary in the middle of an Act Your Age lecture. Original poster. Find some new friends that will not suck the youth out of you prematurely. As long as you are making your own money and paying your own bills, no one in this life can tell you who you have to be or how old you need to act. Trust me, none of them will care what you did with your life in 100 years when you are all dead and buried. Story 25. Brother, be your authentic self 100% of the time without exception. If others are bothered by who you are, find new people to spend your time with. Story 26. Guys like your friends are not assertive because they are stronger or tougher than you. They act that way because they are emotionally immature and do not know how to handle negative attention, so they deflect it onto others. Alternatively, they lack the self-awareness to discuss anything beyond idle gossip, which is essentially what mocking others amounts to. That said, throwing insults was immature and only means you played their game in a juvenile way. Find ways to be funny and inclusive toward everyone without targeting anyone. A side effect may be that you no longer enjoy spending time with these people. Story 27. Are you sure they are putting you down to assert themselves? I remember my friend would take it very personally when my friends and I would banter, and he always viewed that banter as a sort of dominance thing, I guess. When he bantered back, it often came off as mean-spirited because he was seeing it as a dominance competition. I am not saying that people are never mean, but your post seems to reflect a familiar mindset. I could be wrong, but I wonder if there is a mismatch between their intentions, which are playful banter, and your perceptions of explicit dominance competition. Story 28. Have you tried not acting like a child? You were doing the exact same thing my younger brother did when we were 8 and 6 years old, respectively. Your friend was being kind in how he asked you to stop being obnoxious. I would have cursed you out for what you were doing. Story 29. Just be yourself. Stop worrying about the opinions of others. If they do not want to hang out with you, they will not. Trying to fit in will not make anyone happy. Also, if one person says stop acting like this, even if they say it in a rude way, that does not mean they always think that, nor does it mean the others in the group think that. But also know when something stops being funny and becomes annoying. Throwing a few shells is all in good fun. Throw 30 shells at me and I will throw you in the ocean or bury you under the sand with only your head sticking out. This is just an example. Story 30. Golden advice for you, the golden rule. Revise your definition of being the strong guy as someone who gets to pester others without checking, such as throwing a lot of small shells at someone without being told to stop acting like a child. And what is it with the boring guy? Small shells do not equal not boring. Read real news, facts, and documentaries. Be interesting. Start with TED Talks Top 100 and repeat. Story 31. I think there are a couple of things to address. First, stop throwing shells. That sounds annoying to deal with. To come across as more masculine and less like a little brother to other men, I suggest the less is more approach. If you are going to drink, drink calmly and casually. It does not matter what you drink, but do it calmly. Do not pester your friends. Just relax with them and share some jokes. Story 32. Honestly, do the things you are afraid to do. There is a difference between being a coward and being weak. Being a coward is hard to fix. Start by learning how to fight. Take boxing or some sport where you can hit hard enough to be able to take a punch in the face without it feeling like the end of your world. Exercise daily. Do something hard every day and never complain. Realize people have it harder in the rest of the world and have less. Only by doing what you avoid will you become strong. Story 33. Original poster, you were acting like a literal child by throwing shells and then got upset when they called you out for it. I am going to be harsh with you, but you are the type that typically needs that. I think it is safe to assume you were a little sheltered as a kid. No one gave you the basic truths of life. Be a man. And by a man, I do not mean a bro, a Navy SEAL tough guy, or a toxic alpha. I mean a man of character. Think of great men who have existed throughout history. Do you think Theodore Roosevelt, Ernest Hemingway, or Mr. Rogers threw shells at their friends like that? No, they would not. The first two would probably smack you, and Mr. Rogers would make you see the error of your ways. I am guessing you are not getting attention from any women with a mentality like yours, so you are starved for attention and are acting out like a child. Sound about right? Work on yourself, dude. Read some self-improvement books, listen to podcasts about social interactions and how to develop healthy habits, and put in the work to grow into the best version of yourself. Because right now you sound immature. Van Edwards and Jay Shetty on YouTube and Spotify are great for learning how to be better socially and how to improve internally. Story 34. Regarding the throwing of conchs, that is very annoying. Stop it if you want people to be around you. It is basic respect. The little brother label? Honesty, do your thing. Be playful without pestering others. Be funny in moderation. If someone does not like it, they can leave. Being your true self is what masculinity is about. Having the courage to be yourself, to do your thing, regardless of what others say. How insecure can those guys be if you being playful makes them infantilize you? They need to grow up and stop policing masculinity. Story 35. Prison rules can apply. Beat up one of them and then have sex with the ringleader to assert dominance. Or, do not throw things at the other inmates and avoid being called out for being annoying. Story 36. So you want to learn to be more confident? Alternative suggestion. Find better people to spend time with. Story 37. The fact that you think it is funny to throw tiny shells at someone and then post this without any self-awareness shows why people treat you like the little brother. Story 38. Your reply should have been, "I'll show you, little brother," then tackled him and tried to get your other friends involved in dragging him into the ocean. It's all just fun for the most part. You only become the butt of the joke if you let yourself be. What's with the other people in this Reddit comment section? They act like they're in their 40s. Guys like us always do dumb things to each other. It's part of toughening each other up for the challenges you will face later in life. I may not throw shells at people, but you best believe I jump at the chance to tackle someone into the ocean or convince them into a Roman candle war. If you can be rough with your brothers, then they aren't your brothers. Story 39. This thread sounds like a group of inconsiderate people. Just change your approach a bit. Maybe even apologize if you think you might be annoying. They will understand. Story 40. It is hard to give specific advice without knowing them, but I would say to just try and stick to teasing them in ways that they would. If you are doing something they do, it is probably something they are all right with. Try to stick to verbal jabs, make them things they can brush off quickly, and try not to go too far. If you do go too far, you can be honest with them, apologize, and explain your intentions. If that does not work, you could just skip the jabs altogether and be generally positive. It might not feel as nice as joining in with the group dynamic, but it will not go unappreciated. Even if they respond with a jab and do not show it, compliments will generally be appreciated. Story 41. You were actively pestering your friend. That is not cool, and it is totally normal for him to call you out on it. Listen, I have done annoying things that I was not fully aware of, but once a friend calls me out on it, I stop and move on. The guy is not putting you down but trying to get you to stop. I will be completely honest. If someone acted like you did consistently around me, I would simply stop hanging out with them. I knew one guy in college like that. Basically, everyone thought he was annoying and avoided him. It was okay at first, but once we told him that he was being annoying and asked him to stop, he did not because it was something he liked to do. Basically, nobody wanted to hang out with him after that. The point is that being annoying consistently is a good way to lose friends. Story 42. Watch Secret Life of Pets. That old dog demonstrated real knowledge. Not a joke. The first step to overcoming fear is to act like you are not afraid. The same applies here. Story 43. Watch a lot of animated shows and imitate the main characters. They often complain until their friends help them or they get plot armor to become stronger. Observe their actions and imitate them. Story 44. Are they mocking you for acting like a child? Or is it because you are small? Getting yourself to be physically strong is simple, not always easy, but simple to understand. You cannot force a horse to drink water if it does not want to. Similarly, you will not stop behaviors you do not like unless you want to. Story 45. Stand up for yourself. You are basically painting yourself as a target. Now it is time to shed that and assert yourself. Story 46. First of all, sorry to be mean, but you have to give respect to receive it. The whole shell throwing incident most likely caused the comment. Depending on the person, 1 or 2 shells thrown might be funny, but even then, more is too much. Let's play devil's advocate and assume you don't do this usually. Then, not being the butt of the joke means being respected by the friend group. Not fear respected, not acting like a tough person, just being respected and liked. Also, friends will always joke and sometimes tease. It's inevitable and depends on whether everyone is having a good time. Story 47. A clown is not strong, clever, or fun other than to laugh at. So do not be a clown making noise and annoying people for attention. Story 48. Stop acting like a younger sibling and start acting like an older sibling. Invade them for oil and bring them democracy. Story 49. The irritating friend behaves annoyingly and gets upset when people consider him annoying. It is time to mature, my friend. Story 50. I mean, you do sound kind of annoying and childish. Maybe this is why they are saying that. Also, the advice. Stop acting like a little brother looking for attention. Story 51. Stop hanging out with kids who try to assert a hierarchy during your playdates. That's immature behavior. It's the yeah bro, I'm so alpha bro type of cringe. Alternatively, if you're going to keep hanging out with such people, just stop worrying about it. Coming here to complain about it shows insecurity. Just be yourself. No one on the outside is trying to rank you by toughness. Story 52. Man, just find friends you can be authentic and happy around. Don't worry about coming off as the weak guy. That's not a thing. Good friends will appreciate you for who you are and not care about your strength or masculinity. One of my good friends in my group is a small, timid, shy guy who someone with a negative mindset might call the weak guy. I appreciate his friendship and presence more than anything and love him dearly. I don't care that he's not confrontational and that he's small and timid. He's an amazing friend, and I'm lucky to have him in my life. Be yourself, brother. Story 53. Upgrade the quality of people you surround yourself with. These individuals will hold you back when you begin to outgrow them. Story 54. If you mean physically, go to the gym and attend consistently for 2 to 3 years. If you mean philosophically, go to therapy and experience different things. Story 55. Don't hang out with brother types who think they are better than others and constantly compete. It's just stressful in the long run. Also, annoying people is not being funny. It is just annoying. Story 56. Hi. According to your situation description, hierarchical roles in your group have already been established. This person positioned himself above you probably much earlier than you think, maybe even at the very beginning of your group. Power positions are always taken soon after forming the group. Who is the leader, who are the soldiers, and who are the pawns? Now you are his pawn for his group's status agendas, if I understood you correctly. This is all a stealthy thing going on below the radar. If you want to stop being the little brother, first you have to learn to read the dynamics between the lines. What you described as making your friends happy by being funny could easily be interpreted as neediness by him and the group, and all he has to do is patronize you in an undercover and assertive way, as you described. The group then accepts that. Honestly, the way out or above that is hard and not a short process, but very rewarding if you succeed and adopt it early in your life. I think the first step you have to take is to ask yourself if you can do without that group in the worst-case scenario. As soon as you answer that question affirmatively, your whole body vibe will change. Your neediness will vanish because now you know you don't need them. The narrative must be that they need you to enrich the group with your strength and quality, not by being their funny puppet. Then you have to be ready for tests. Others will defend his position and old group dynamics that you are now questioning and challenging with your new vibe. He doesn't have to do anything but stand aside to see how you will defend your new self against tests from others in the group. If you eventually get them for yourself, then a direct duel between you and him is inevitable. From my experience, if you become dominant and he is also a dominant person, then one of you will have to give up the position and probably leave the group. That's the hard truth. If the winner is you, great. Let him leave because you matter, and you have taken a huge step on the path from little brother to big brother in the group. That's your big and very important victory, not over him but over yourself. You passed your male initiation process. I'm telling you this from experience. There's no other way. All the best to you. Story 57. You need to leave this group and find a new group of friends. I used to be the person who was the target of all the jokes, and it never ended well. Start distancing yourself from them and find a new group that will value you. Story 58. I would suggest avoiding interactions with people who consistently cause you to question your identity and social standing. This sounds unhealthy. Story 59. I have been here. The answer has a few solutions, such as finding a group of friends that better fits your style. If you can be yourself around others, then that works. However, it is important to be able to adapt to more than one group type. Be yourself is a good motto but does not fit everywhere. You are still young. Over time, you may find it easier to get along with other guys. One of my groups of friends prefers minimal talking and to be as cool as possible, but by the end, we hug and say I love you. Sometimes, things are just that way. You should become better at reading people and adapting. If you act like a kid, people will treat you like a kid, for better or worse. Find friends who fit you better. Also, learn to read people and adapt. It is a valuable social skill. Story 60. Listen or read the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. It is not a misogynistic outlook on life like it sounds. It gets to the depth of why you try to be the nice guy or the person who brings joy and has to fill the void of silence or absence. I think it is worth a try, my man. Story 61. Bantering, little put-downs, jibes, and jabs. This is 100% male friendship. The only way to lose is to take it personally or not give it back. If you can channel your inner trash talker and calibrate to the right level, not too personal or vicious, then you will fit right in. Story 62. Be yourself, mate. Trying to be someone else will just hurt your mental health in the long run. People will notice too. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.